I'm gonna steal it.
Wait, what?
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence. I almost made him Southern for a second there.
You're going a little Batman there.
This movie would really change if Nicolas Cage played a man from the deep South who is obsessed with conspiracy theories, because I think that would lead us down a much different path.
Yeah, he's just from, like, Georgia. Rural Georgia.
I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
What?
His family history would be a lot different.
Well, as always, welcome to The Swamp. It's our podcast. We talk about movies, and it's an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
And today, well, this month, we're doing, it's our podcast August. And this has primarily consisted of us bringing back guests who we just like to have on the show. Last week, we brought back Joey for Shallow Hal. That was a romp and a half. And this week, we have back my amazing and lovely cousin Erin, who you may remember from just recently was on the proposal episode, giving some law insight to the legality of green card marriages. We appreciate your insight on that. But also from last year, you were on our Cinderella story episode. And this is a movie that you and I are like, I'm not going to say trauma bonded over,
This is
but
my life. This movie was formative to me.
and together. We saw the sequel together. And
in theaters.
and
I think it was a midnight premiere as
yes,
well.
I remember. I said this earlier, but it's moments like this, watching this movie together, that I remember that our moms are twins, because we are so similar in the way that we said all the same lines at the same time with the same inflections.
I was gonna say, yeah, sitting here watching you two was, like, better than watching the movie, actually. You had the same, like, gleam in your eyes, and, like... Yeah. Like, if you didn't know a line, like, Erin was saying it, and, like, if Erin was saying... Well, yeah, no. It was back and forth.
But we are covering National Treasure, the 2004 Disney action romp that I think was very formative for the two of us.
Very.
As like, young teen, kid-age people... I think this is statistically the movie I've seen the most number of times.
I want to know, because I knew that this was, like, a big thing for you, Dara, because we've talked about it a lot. I didn't realize how integral this was to you as a human being, Erin. So what, for each of you, I want to know about how many times would you say that you've seen this movie?
Confidently?
Yes.
Over 100.
I couldn't even tell you. Like, this is one of those movies, it's on, like, FX all the time, and if it's on FX, it was playing in our living room. Like,
yeah,
this movie stayed on.
I think for both of our families, like,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
heavy in the DVD rotation
Yeah,
for
very.
family movie night kind of thing. And I, personally, on my little green iPod Nano, had just enough, like, I didn't even have any music on it because all of the storage space was for this movie. So I just had an iPod Nano that had, like, you know,
National Treasure.
like one Fall Out Boy album and then National Treasure on it, and every
That's
night,
all you need.
every night before bed, well, maybe not every night, but, like, you know, at least 2-3 times a week, like, falling asleep, I would just put that on under my covers, and, like, you know how most kids, like, stayed up playing DS or something, like, getting really good at, like, Mario? No, I was watching this movie over and over and over. And I would say I've watched the first 10 minutes of this movie, because then I just would conk out and fall asleep, because I, like, had
repeat.
third grade the next morning, you know? But I would say the first 10 minutes of this movie, like, over 300 times I've seen.
Yeah.
But all the way through, just so much. It was the heaviest in my rotation, and I would say through my life, it was the movie that I would say was my favorite for the longest amount of time. Like, I think from the first time I saw it up through, like, probably 7th grade, which would have probably been, like, what, like a 5-6 year stretch. What about you, Emily?
I've probably seen this movie less than 10 times, I'd say. Maybe less than 5 times. But it is it is ingrained into my brain still, because I feel like this is one, like, a childhood staple. Mine is definitely on a different level than yours. My staple is a lot thinner. But, yeah, no, I remember enjoying this movie as a kid. I remember it being one of those ones that I feel like anyone who grew up in, like, the early 2000s, like, you had those little DVD players that went on the back of, like, the car seats.
Oh,
so
for sure.
when you had long car rides, you'd be able to watch something. Or if you were, like, really bougie, like, your car had, like, the DVD player
player
built
in.
into the, like, the roof of it. And this was one that I feel like was watched on those like long road trips.
You're like microdosing it to and from the grocery store. So you get, like the first 15 minutes on the way to Shaw's and the next 15 minutes on the way back. And then you're just like waiting like, okay, next time we go to the grocery store, like next time mom has to drive me to like soccer practice, I'm going to microdose the next, 12 minutes of National Treasure, which honestly, this movie is great pacing for something like that because a major plot point happens roughly every 6 minutes.
Yeah. No, this...
It's like, clue, clue, clue. Like, every car ride to Shaw's, you get another clue.
Yeah. It's like, what is that? That Lady Gaga
club.
Another club.
This is clue. Another clue. Riddle. Solved. No sleep.
DC, New York, Boston, Philadelphia.
FBI. Okay, honestly, the moments in this movie that are supposed to be like the action moments, like the chase scenes, most boring parts of the film.
Chaos.
It's the solving of the riddles that I'm here for.
And the fact that it all happens so fast is why I don't care that every single line of dialogue that's spoken opens a new plot hole. Everything that happens just opens a floodgate of unexplained information that we're just supposed to suspend our disbelief as viewers. And I don't fucking care, because by the time I'm annoyed to think about, like, why is this happening, something else more exciting is already happening in front of me.
Yeah.
I acknowledge the plot holes. I acknowledge the historical inaccuracy. I acknowledge the improbability of every minute of this movie. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You had a good point that you were reading some bad reviews about this earlier.
Yeah.
And if you hate this movie, you just must hate fun.
Yeah, like I was reading the Roger Ebert review, and he gave it 2 stars, and I was like, well, clearly you're no fun.
I think
you don't enjoy yourself ever.
You can argue that there are some things about this movie that are objectively maybe a little questionable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But to me, I'm just like whiplash thrown into such a romp that I cannot be bothered to care.
Well, like, I understand why you could watch it, like, hundreds of times, because there's so much to think about, and, like, Erin, I knew I was in for a ride when it was probably within, like, the first 10 minutes of the movie, maybe within the first 5 minutes of the movie, when you started riddling off, like, facts about, like, why this is historically inaccurate. And I was like, oh.
Like, it's wrong from the get-go, but it doesn't matter.
I was like, oh, she's invested in this. She's put time. She's put the hours, the research.
I know the trivia. I've watched the behind-the-scenes shit on the DVD.
Where you have to solve the puzzle. They have to solve, like, a riddle to get to the...
on the DVD menu, there was this thing you had to do.
To get to, like, the bonus scenes. The behind-the-scenes stuff, you had to, like, it was, like, a secret button in the top right corner that you couldn't see, and you had to, like, find it, and then you had to, like, solve a thing. It was, a whole...
Oh my god.
They went in on the DVD special features for this movie.
Yeah, and I know you have a great passion for, like, homepages or, like, previews.
Yeah, it's something we're
DVD
definitely
features.
losing with streaming culture is the pre and post credit DVD home screen. Like the Shrek one is like the mecca of all.
Yeah.
But I guess as like the world's fastest, I say this every time, world's fastest.
I don't know that we can even recap this. I want you to try.
I can do it.
Erin's gonna do it.
All right, Benjamin Franklin Gates. He's got daddy issues. His dad doesn't believe in him. But
that's the whole film.
His grandfather doesn't believe in his dad. We've got this generational thing of sons being disappointments to their fathers. Because Ben Gates believes in the treasure, but his dad doesn't, and his grandfather did. So he's gotta find the treasure to repair his family, basically.
Yes.
And there's clues, and they go to the Arctic. And Sean Bean is there, and he's apparently bankrolling this expedition. They are at odds about their morals, about how they find this treasure.
As all heist movies or treasure hunting movies, there's always a conflict.
There's always a conflict, yeah. Ben wants to do it the right way, and Sean Bean is British, and he doesn't care about the Declaration of Independence.
So he's just gonna brute force his way
into it. So there's a very improbable fight in the Arctic, and they survive, and they go to DC, like, overnight. And then there's this gala, and I forget how...
They both finagle
their way into the National Archives Preservation Room to steal the Declaration of Independence. Ben gets there first. He gets the Declaration of Independence. There's this chick involved. Diane Kruger is there. She ends up pulled along for the ride.
She gets hostaged.
Yeah, she gets hostage, but she falls in love with him, so it's okay.
She gets Stockholm syndrome by Nicolas Cage.
She gets drawn in by the riddles, and she's impressed by his riddle-solving prowess.
And in relation to American history, because that's totally her jam.
That's totally her thing, yeah. And Ben Gates is a trip because he's named after the horniest founding father.
And so he's just blowing hot air all over the back of that Declaration of Independence and revealing that secret map. And she's suddenly like, wow, this is doing it for me. Suddenly I am balls deep invested in this treasure hunt.
Justin Bartha's there. He third wheels it basically through the whole movie.
Call him by his government name, please. Riley Poole.
Riley Poole.
Justin Bartha, who, like, really has not ever been in a movie other than this. I mean, he has, but, like, not to me. To me, he canonically only exists in the context of this film. He disintegrated after this movie was shot.
Well, the sequel. They brought him back for the sequel.
He disintegrated after the sequel.
Jesus.
Oh, they find the map, and then they find more clues.
There's, like, 3 different maps on the back of the Declaration of Independence. Except it's not a map. First, it's a code, and then it's, like, a symbolic, Celtic knot cross thing that has writing on it.
And all of the while, Sean Bean and his gaggle of goons are basically just sort of trailing behind, just tagging on whatever clues they find out. They just sort of half solve and just kind of follow them. So they all end up where the treasure is. Riding
Nicolas Cage's coattails the whole way through.
Yes, but with guns. So
with guns, yeah.
Successfully, so. But they find the church where the treasure is, but then they trick Sean Bean into being like, oh no, the treasure's not here. And then Sean Bean abandons them, so he thinks, but it turns out Nicolas Cage, sneaky deaky, knows that there's more to the story, and they press the magic treasure button.
And it's another empty room!
Oh my god, we're getting the same plot again, but this is the moment where him and Jon Voight repair their father-son trauma by him being like, son, we'll find the treasure. You did so good.
You're going to jail. You're going to federal prison, but we're going to find the treasure.
And then he presses another magic treasure button, which
there's
opens
a third room.
The real treasure room, which is full of artifacts that probably should be delivered to the countries they were most likely stolen from. Yeah. And everyone has a tear in their eye because of how great it is to find treasure.
Treasure.
And that's the film. Yeah. And there's, like, a weird romantic subplot between Diane Kruger and Nicolas Cage the whole time that is really unbelievable, but honestly isn't too much of a plot line that it really bothers me. Like, they could have gone way harder with it, and I would have been more pissed off.
It's pretty background, because you, Emily, said, hey, is she going to end up with the Justin Bartha character? And we said no.
Yeah, that's how I thought I remembered it. But I guess it's just because those two characters, like, spend, like, a good, like, handful of, like, the chase sequences together.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the most unrealistic thing about that movie is, those two ending up together. I don't know if it's the pheromones or something, or the high of finding treasure together. It's like the opposite of trauma bonding, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when people are in a plane crash, and then they, like, marry the person they were next to on the plane crash, because they, like, your brain chemistry tricks you into feeling some type of way.
It's the high of solving clues together. Like, imagine if they were on Jeopardy and they both made it all the way to the end and they had just solved all these Jeopardy clues together and fell in love.
But I think, if anything, this is a key that you should take your Tinder date geocaching.
Oh, yeah.
If you take a bitch geocaching with you, it's marriage in 2 days.
I do think that these two fucked in the treasure room afterwards.
Yeah, she got the UTI of her life in that cobweb-ridden room.
There's a spider that crawled up her pussy.
An ancient spider. It's like how, you know how they're talking about how global warming is, like, releasing all of the ancient diseases?
Yeah, that's gonna be a clue in the next movie.
We have to find the cure to the ancient disease to find the clue to the next. Yeah, definitely ancient bugs were crawling up into everyone's holes.
Cleopatra had this exact UTI.
Yeah. It's the same yeast infection. We kept it in a sourdough starter, if you'd like to.
I just know that Nicolas Cage has not had a better nut in his life. And that you find the treasure, you get your dad's love, and you get the girl.
Right.
Like, come on.
His father literally patted him on the back.
Oh, so that's the equivalent of, like, a full tender embrace.
Yeah.
In man speak.
Yeah. No, you never get to hear I love you, but you get a pat on the back.
Get like
and
a nice firm shoulder squeeze.
Yeah, So way to go, champ.
I have to tell you though, speaking of Tinder dates, the fact that this was my favorite movie is on my Tinder profile.
It's a green flag.
It's on my Tinder profile that this is my favorite movie.
I'm saying that as your cousin, so maybe that's a red flag, that I think it's a green flag.
But I was thinking about it while I was watching the movie, and I realized, like, I've dated a bunch of Rileys, and it hasn't worked out.
Well, yeah, I did ask you both when this movie started.
When we both started physically shaking at the start of this film.
Yeah, they were buzzing. The couch was like vibrating. It felt like there was an earthquake. But I did ask if Riley was a sexual awakening for either of you.
And we both said no.
Yeah, no. Dara, you said this was the first time you felt seen in a movie.
Well, yeah, maybe it was just a repetition thing. You know, you watch something 1,000 times, you're gonna have to self-insert yourself somewhere, kind of thing. But as definitely as a very young person, I latched on a lot to the friend, the sidekick, friend,
because he's the audience surrogate. He asks all the questions on behalf of the audience, like,
for sure.
Who's Mr. Matlock? Who's there was somebody else where it happened, like,
yeah, what is this piece of information that you're holding from us, Nicolas Cage? How about you share? Yeah, definitely that. But I also definitely feel very seen as like irritating, and like I'm like, and the thing about him specifically is he's supposed to be like the computer guy, the guy in the
STEM
chair
major.
Yeah, he's in the van doing all the computer stuff while Nick Cage is boots on the ground getting the action done. But the thing is that he never really does anything that impressive. He sort of just says yes to going along with it. He never does anything, and that's me. I think I'm the smart sidekick friend, but really, I'm just saying things.
Yeah.
I'm just saying one-liners that only I think are funny, and that's definitely Riley here through this whole movie.
he says yes to things until it gets him a Ferrari at the end.
Right. Yeah, right?
And that's the takeaway. Yeah. That's how you should live your life.
Say yes to your batshit insane friend, Nicolas Cage, until...
I do want to ask, though, because you said at a certain point, once you've seen this movie X amount of times, you have to self-insert. Did you ever write any fan fiction for National Treasure? Because I know you've dabbled in the past.
No, Erin was the first person. Erin introduced me to what fan fiction was. So,
I'm sorry.
So fuck you for that.
I'm sorry.
I definitely didn't write any National Treasure because I was more of a TV show fan fiction person, because then you kind of had the running thing.
I agree with you there.
More content, but I probably read some. You said that there's Pirates of the Caribbean crossover National Treasure fan fiction.
I remember back in the day, deep in my hermit shut-in phase, where there was this lengthy Pirates of the Caribbean fan fiction where at the end it was revealed that Jack Sparrow is the dead captain clinging to that barrel with the clue in it.
Which, would it have even made sense that he would have been a Freemason?
No. No, not at all.
Hey, it doesn't matter because none of this movie makes sense.
No. And it doesn't need to, because it injects serotonin straight into my central nervous system. I'm not even sure that's how serotonin works.
Yeah,
but it's how I feel.
A spinal tap of happy juice.
Juice, yes, exactly. I see you have Canada Goose written down.
Yeah, so this movie, I have like a little rant that I'll go on sometimes about people who own Canada Goose jackets, and it's mostly because I'm upset that I'm not wealthy enough to own, a $1,000 coat. Like, I wish that could be me, but it just simply couldn't be me.
Wait, what's a Canada Goose jacket?
Canada Goose is like the top line of nice winter coat that you can get, and it's what they're wearing at the beginning of this movie when they're in the fucking Arctic.
Yeah, because Sean Bean bought it for them.
Well, yeah, and they're incredibly expensive, but in recent years it's become very trendy in like luxury fashion for people to just own these. If you're just walking from the train to your fucking, mostly this is people I went to school with.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you wearing a Canada Goose jacket? It's 45 degrees in Boston. You don't need something that's meant for literal explorers in the Arctic. You don't need a Canada Goose jacket. If you're like an extreme skier or something, maybe I get it.
Digging up a ship in the Arctic.
Right. If you're like doing something if you're like camping, if you're like a winter camper, maybe.
You're actually like climbing Mount Everest.
Maybe then it makes sense for you to have one. In any other circumstance, just get just get a less intense coat.
Buy a North Face jacket.
Yeah.
Like everyone else.
Right. I just, when I see people, and they're so popular, I see people with them all the time on the streets, and I'm like, are you finding treasure? No.
Are you Nicolas Cage and or Sean Bean, depending on your moral alignment?
Yeah. Are you a Nick Cage or are you a Sean Bean? Let's discuss. But mostly I just see people with Canada Goose jackets, and my mind immediately just tumbles back to this movie, and I'm like, unless you're literally digging up a ship in the Arctic, I don't want to see it.
Can we talk about that moment, though, where Nicolas Cage has that water bottle and he's hit something solid when he's
This
digging,
made me mad. This made me really upset.
and he squirts water onto the snow, and you see the name Charlotte illuminated by the water.
That water would have had to be boiling.
And it was in like a plastic water
Yeah.
bottle, like not like a Poland Spring bottle, but like a plastic like
Like an Nalgene.
yeah, like what your soccer
What you get for free from
Exactly.
your internship over the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Like your soccer coach bought them all for everyone at like Five Below kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's like those videos you see of people like in Russia or just places where it gets crazy cold, of them pouring boiling water off of their like porch, and it
And
just
it
turns to snow.
vaporizes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just immediately. Yeah.
Absurd.
But if we're gonna pick apart every scientific detail,
We'll be
of
here
this
for
movie,
5
yeah,
hours.
we're
There's
gonna
no
have to
way.
get a lot into lemon juice and the properties of lemon juice, and it's gonna take too long.
Do you think people's breath was hot enough to actually activate whatever the
Because, well, they just did it for a second, and it kind of half revealed it, and then they got out the hair
The
dryers.
Yeah, they did it for the sexual tension. They didn't do
Yeah.
it for...
It was sexual.
It looks like Nicolas Cage was ready to spit in her mouth. Not even like kiss her.
That was he did bust under the table when that little Freemason symbol
Yeah.
popped up.
You just hear a little, and that's dick hitting the top.
My mom is going to listen to this episode, so sorry, Julie, for...
Sorry, Julie.
Sorry that I'm foul. I recently had somebody in a job interview ask me about this, and I was like, oh god, this could be very good or very bad.
About the podcast?
Yeah. You know, I am just gonna assume that they didn't actually listen,
Yeah.
which is to
You're-
my favor.
You're gonna hope.
Right. But this is a Disney movie.
It is a Disney
Always
movie.
kind of sends me because I don't really think of it as that, but then I do remember it's like very much PG.
It's very PG.
no
Yeah.
swearing, nobody. One person dies, but we don't even see their dead body.
It's a classic Disney death. Like, he just drops
Fall.
into darkness, and when we get to the bottom with the rest of the crew, there's no body down there.
which you know needs some explanation, but only if you're like really looking for it. But yeah, this is a Disney movie, which I guess I never really thought, because Disney didn't do a ton of like live action type stuff like this for a long time.
I feel like
it's
there was a handful in the early 2000s, because there was Pirates of the Caribbean,
Yep.
which I think may have been notable as Disney's first PG-13 movie.
Was the first one PG-13?
It was, yeah.
Oh wow,
Interesting.
There's too much boob action for it not to be.
That makes sense, yeah.
There's a reason why
Also,
we did
he's-
that for Sexual Awakening Month.
Also, Jack Sparrow's drunk, he might be gay.
Yeah. But this movie, I think, is so like separate from the Disney image, because as a person who's been on several Disney vacations, you could not find a single piece of National Treasure merch.
I want to bury under Trinity Church at Disneyland.
What?
That would be great.
Which is what I'm saying. There should be an escape room. Disney is not capitalizing off of the escape room
I thought
craze.
that's where you were going. You were so confused when I said that.
Well, right, is that there should be some sort of National Treasure
Escape
attraction
room at Disney World,
for
yeah.
the weird bitches growing up who didn't really like the princess movies, but were
Oh, and-
super into Nicolas Cage. I would have gone nuts for that shit.
Another roller coaster. Can I steal the Declaration of Independence from Epcot?
Yes, Epcot would be perfect.
Epcot
Disney,
would be perfect.
If you're listening, if Disney's marketing team is listening, I have the full architectural plans in my mind for this escape room themed expedition ride event. Hit my line.
Nicolas Cage needs the money. I'm sure he'd show up.
He does not need the money.
Yes, he does. He's been like super in debt for forever.
Really?
Yeah. Like, he's had money troubles for a while.
Wow, I didn't know that. He just made that movie about himself.
That's why he had to make that movie.
Oh, I just assumed it was because he was doing great.
No.
I mean, like, you have to. Like, if you're making a movie about yourself, I'm like, yeah, dude, he's killing it.
So do either of you know about the sort of nepotism behind Nicolas Cage as a celebrity
yes,
figure?
I am familiar with
I
this.
feel like once you say it, I'm gonna remember it, but please.
After you say your bit, I'm going to tell you who Nicolas Cage named himself after.
Oh, yeah, well, so he's a Coppola. His legal last name is Coppola. He's
Nicholas Coppola, yeah.
he's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew.
Uh-huh.
So, like, right, that just makes sense.
Wild.
Because can he act? Yes or no? It's up for debate.
He has an Oscar.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
What did he win an Oscar for?
Was it Moonstruck? No.
No way.
Wicker Man?
No fucking way. No, if he won an Oscar for Moonstruck, I'd be shocked. I love that movie.
But who did he name himself after?
He named himself after the comic book character Luke Cage.
Interesting. Jessica Jones's boyfriend?
Yep, the big black guy who can't be killed.
Okay.
Leaving Las Vegas is what he won an Oscar for.
I don't know that one.
I don't either.
It's good.
Interesting. There's this...
Best Actor. Like, fully.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He was in a failed Superman movie. It was either right before or right after the Brandon Roth one. There's pictures of him in the outfit. I believe it was supposed to be directed by Tim Burton. He's got long flowing black hair when he's trying on the Superman outfit. I don't know if that was going to make it into the movie.
And it never got made?
It never got made. Well, and it wasn't finished. I think they did some filming for it.
Interesting.
Yep. So Nicolas Cage is one of those guys. He auditions for every single comic book movie out there.
Oh my god.
And it's yet to... Well, he was the dad in Kick-Ass.
He was the dad in Kick-Ass. He was also Johnny what's-his-name in Ghost Rider. There's two Ghost Rider movies.
Interesting.
His son is legally named Kal-El. Kal-El, yep.
I didn't know he had kids either. Is he married?
He's been married like 5 times.
Yeah.
He was married to
makes
Lisa
sense.
Marie Presley.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
Huh.
But
Anyway, this has been the Nicolas Cage
wait,
corner.
wait. Wasn't Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
The fact that Michael Jackson and Nicolas Cage...
They were both married to Elvis's daughter.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've mentioned on the show before that I really love the TV show Community.
Yeah.
And Community has an episode where a character who notably really loves film and TV takes a community college class called Nicolas Cage, Good or Bad, where they analyze all of Nicolas Cage's performances and they have to make like a solid evaluation of whether he is a good or bad actor. And that question like breaks this character. And he ends up turning into Nick Cage and he's just constantly like doing an impression because he can't figure out whether he's a good actor or a bad actor.
That's so like spot on though.
Because I feel it, because you said that Roger Ebert didn't like the line delivery.
Yeah, the
right?
line delivery in this movie Roger Ebert didn't like, among a number of other things that Roger Ebert didn't like.
Which, I don't really buy.
He actually brought up the Da Vinci Code, and this is basically Disney's Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
But I think that his line delivery is what saves this movie.
Yeah, like...
Because I think there have been a lot of, like, treasure hunting type movies, especially since Indiana Jones. Not to say that Indiana Jones was the first to do it, but, I think
classic.
Since then, like, the success of that genre has produced a lot. And I would say that The Mummy was a pretty successful one. And I would say that this was the next pretty successful one since that. And if he had been either a little more serious or a little less serious, it just wouldn't have worked, right?
Yeah.
Well, you've got your, like, Harrison Ford prototype that obviously Brendan Fraser was, the charming one. He's the dangerous one.
Yes.
And this guy's just kind of unhinged.
Yeah, to me, he's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
I feel like he had to reel it in for this movie because, like,
He
I watch
absolutely
like
did.
like whenever I think Nick Cage movies, it's unhinged. You know what I mean?
But he cracks at moments.
There are
Yes,
moments
exactly,
where
and
it
that's
leaks
where
out, yeah.
and that's where his best performance is.
Right, and I think that he's just kind of goofy and unbelievable enough that he can kind of toe that line of, like, I'm saying some fucking batshit crazy stuff right now.
I mean every word.
But I'm being so serious about it, which is we can kind of laugh at him, and then when he has those moments when he cracks, we can kind of laugh with him. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think that if they had tried to cast somebody, like, super charming and likable, not to say that he's not charming, but, like, let's be frank, he's not. Like,
No.
When he's telling Abigail, he's like, shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch. And I'm like, why am I still rooting for you? Like, what? But if they had tried to cast somebody somebody more suave and charming, them trying to bumble through all of the, like, Freemason American history shit would have just come off as so, like, the guy who's really into that kind of stuff is fundamentally unlikable. In the real world, the guy who's super into American Freemason history, kind of a dick. It just makes sense that he would kind of be like this.
Yeah.
Like, if I need to cry on cue at any given moment in my life, I just imagine they casted Ben Affleck in this movie.
Oh, no.
And it brings a tear to my eye.
No,
Or like a Matt Damon. If they were like, you know who's gonna carry this movie? Matt Damon.
No.
I just think about National Treasure starring Matt Damon. I'm welling up. No.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned
I can see it now, just talking about it. She's getting emotional, guys.
Yeah.
Her lips starting to quiver.
Well, you mentioned moments where his Nicolas Caginess leaks out. There's a scene in the sequel where he goes full Nicolas Cage in Buckingham Palace. So we're gonna have to do the sequel at some point.
Sequel,
That's all.
so my favorite thing about the sequel, though, is the way that it kind of backtracks on this 2-week romance that I really respect.
Yeah.
So there's romance with the Abigail, Diane Kruger.
Yeah.
They are divorced in the second movie because they're like, yeah, we trauma bonded over finding treasure together and immediately got together and bought a house.
Yeah.
And obviously now we're divorced, duh. Which kind of, wrapping that up in the second movie, validates.
It's realistic.
Yeah, it validates a lot of the way I feel towards their relationship in this movie. Because, like, of course. Like, of course, you have no history or chemistry with each other.
You ever wake up and realize your live-in boyfriend is Nicolas Cage?
He kind of looks like Nicolas Cage, but no.
I mean, like, after she got rid of that STI, not STI.
That cleared, and her head cleared as well.
Exactly.
Oh my
She
God.
said, what did I do?
The antibiotics fog wore off, and she was like, oh my God, I bought a house with this man. He can't do his taxes. He's jumped from job to job for his entire life looking for treasure.
Well, that was my question in the middle of the movie, because I'm like, what does this mean? He has, like, a nice apartment in, like, downtown, like, Washington, D.C. How does he pay for that?
Sean Bean.
Yeah.
But, like, I know he, like, bankrolls the expedition, but do you think he, like, he still is, like, giving Nick Cage, like, a good enough cut?
Because
I feel like Nick Cage doesn't even want, like, any money outside of it. He just wants to find the treasure. He could be living in, like, I don't even know.
To make this movie even more Nicolas Cage, he would need to be living on a van on Sean Bean's property.
Yes. Yeah, actually. It'd be more realistic.
My guess is that he does, like, freelance riddle solving, freelance diving.
Picture him as your history teacher, your AP history teacher.
Oh my God.
He's gonna yell at you about the Freemasons and the Knights Templar.
If this movie was made today, he would definitely be, like, doing Uber Eats. You know what I mean?
Nights and weekends to make up for the daytime treasure hunting.
Well, he needs someone to talk to, too. He's, like, spitting all of his... or not even... If it's Uber Eats, then no. But if he's doing, like, regular, like, Lyft or anything like that,
like
he's just throwing all of his, like...
History.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, it's kind of like how the dying founding father gave the last clue to his, like...
That's what he's gonna do, he's gonna be an Uber driver and he's gonna be dying of... convenient plot disease or something.
And he's gonna whisper the dying clue to his Uber passenger, who's just gonna give him a 2-star rating and get the fuck out of there.
Oh my God. You know, this is a little bit current events, but I had a vision right now of elderly Nicolas Cage being an Uber driver. And he dies, and he gives his passenger a clue that leads his passenger to Ivana Trump's grave on that golf course.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And they lead the FBI
To the nuclear codes.
That's so bad.
Okay, do we want to talk about Harvey Keitel? Jump scare Harvey Keitel?
I've got a lot to say about Harvey
shows up
Keitel, but that's for later in the episode when we play Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh no.
Literally an hour and 20 into this film, suddenly we're introduced to FBI lead of the puzzle division, Harvey Keitel, who's here to solve the code, who's here to tell all the other FBI agents that they're fucking stupid for not believing this man who showed up and said that crimes were gonna happen and had a big told you so moment. But, like, I really can't blame those FBI people.
Yeah.
What? Okay, somebody's gonna steal it. Okay, well, it's already fucking guarded. You didn't know he was gonna, like, laser trip his way into fingerprint scanning.
If it were anybody but Nicolas Cage telling you that somebody was gonna steal the Declaration of Independence, would you believe him? Like, somebody not Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, his speech to Diane Kruger was not convincing, especially with Riley doing like background commentary, being like, and that's where we lost the development of Homeland Security, like department.
Something about Harvey Keitel in this movie is just really sexy to me.
He does a good job playing the like no nonsense FBI guy who's still like he's like the good cop and the bad cop.
It's not my thing, but in this movie, it's my thing.
Because he's like, Nicolas Cage, I'm gonna level with you. Like, we gotta get this shit done. So if you have to do some, like, shady backdoor shit, like, we can make it happen. But then, unfortunately, Nicolas Cage takes that a little too far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I'm a Freemason.
Yeah,
Check my bling.
at the very end, panning to the Freemason ring just absolutely made no fucking sense. And where was I? Oh, he's giving Nicolas Cage a little leeway because he, like, gets the whole Freemason thing. Like, okay, well, you could have done that anyways, you know? That, to me, I was annoyed by that. I'm like, oh, Harvey Keitel's a Freemason. Fucking cool.
How convenient.
Yeah, right? A lot of things in this movie are very convenient.
Yeah, that's the whole movie.
It's like, oh, and now this just happened to
Oh,
work
and there's
out.
a Freemason symbol on the brick that they had to go and find at the right time because the shadow shows on it. But you didn't even need to do that because there's a Freemason stamp on it.
Just in case you missed the daylight savings clue, there is just a Freemason symbol, just, you know, on every clue.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to follow, actually.
I like that, though. I like that it's convenient. I like that I get instant gratification like you said, every 6 minutes for this entire movie. It's like, oh, the next thing, and the next thing, and, like, you never run out of stuff to go, about.
Let's get into our regularly scheduled programming then.
Hell yeah.
Because I can't, like, pause now that I'm on a Harvey Keitel roll.
No, I completely feel that. So let's start off with Fuck, Marry, Kill. The big three are obviously Nicolas Cage, Riley, and Abigail.
Yes.
We could say Ben, Riley, and Abigail.
Okay.
So I already know, absolutely, I'm marrying Riley.
Yeah.
Because we're just the same. And we're just gonna have a nice little life where we're just fucking annoying to each other. And that's basically what I already do in my life now. So I'm gonna marry him, I'm gonna fuck Abigail, because she seems like she'd be a good time, and I'm gonna kill Ben, because, like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's the right answer. I think I'm gonna say the same, because obviously I want to fuck Diane Kruger, but, like, at the same time, she is, like, just as annoying as Ben is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I couldn't marry her. Also, like, I don't want to have to buy her supplies for her never-ending UTI. That's, like, a lot of strain on my bank account, so
well, she got that 1%, or did she even get any of the money?
Know.
Or did she just marry him because she didn't get any of the money and he did, and she was like, well, I might as well stick around.
Yeah.
She's the only one with a job, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, she is employed by the government. She's got a government pension. I mean, consider it.
Yeah.
Well, what say you, Erin?
I've thought about this my entire 2-hour drive here.
Okay.
I'm gonna marry Nicolas Cage, I'm gonna fuck Nicolas Cage, and I'm gonna kill Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Fair. All at
That's
the
a good
same
answer.
time.
Yeah.
All in that treasure room.
Yeah.
Actually.
I mentioned earlier, I feel like I've dated a series of Rileys, and it's not been great.
Yeah. I
So,
can imagine.
Yeah. And I say that because he is me and I am him, and we are the same.
But realistically, I'm fucking Diane Kruger because she's Helen of Troy for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Come on.
With those smoky eyes, preferably.
Preferably. I just want to kill the other two.
Run it. And then, out of the whole movie...
I'm gonna marry Harvey Keitel, you're right.
And then who would you fucking kill? Or, yeah, who would you fucking kill?
I'm killing Mark Pellegrino, who plays Lucifer on the TV show Supernatural, and he's an FBI agent in this movie.
Yeah, he has like a 3-second cameo, and you absolutely clocked it, despite him being like, you know...
out of focus in the background.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Stan Erin clocked that shit from a mile away.
Stan, you mean hostage.
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna... See, I don't know if I want to marry Harvey Keitel, because he's gonna be so busy at work. He's not gonna have time to hang out with me.
He's a bigwig. He must get some decent vacation time.
off.
Yeah.
I feel like, so I just want to kill Ben's dad.
Yeah.
Cause,
You're right.
Because he's a bitch. Like, he's just a little bitch. And he's a little bitch in this movie, and he's a little bitch in the fucking sequel. And Jon Voight also just fucking sucks dick. So that's going to be kind of gratifying for me. So I'm definitely going to kill him. I'm gonna fuck the lady at the deli counter. Because
MVP.
We're going to have a good time together, I think. And she's going to give me some salami after. And it's going to be great.
Oh my god, I just realized I missed the completely obvious option.
What is it?
I'm gonna kill Sean Bean.
Oh, I want to fuck Sean Bean.
Yeah.
Wait, no. I'm going to marry the deli counter lady, and I'm going to fuck Sean Bean.
Okay. All right. I like that for you. I'm gonna kill, Nick Cage's dad, Jon Voight, because like you said, he's a total bitch. Does nothing for the plot. I wished that it was him that fell like the 30
That would have been
flights.
so much funnier, because he has to step out first. They make him step out onto the landing first.
And if he just immediately ate it.
Oh, and then Nicolas Cage would get to have his moment where he goes, "No!"
Yeah, exactly.
Emotes harder than he does in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm gonna kill him. I'm actually gonna marry Sean Bean. Just because I think he is, I don't want to say, not the better treasure hunter, but the smarter treasure hunter. Work smarter, not harder. Have someone else do it. You have a gun.
Guns, yeah.
You have a gun. And I fuck with that. Everyone else in this movie is insufferable. And then obviously, I want Harvey Keitel to just finger me with the Freemason ring on, so I'm gonna fuck him.
Specific instructions.
Yeah, no. The Freemason ring stays on during sex.
The Benjamin Franklin bifocals stay on during sex, please.
I'm having him, like, cosplay and, like, dress up, like, from the archives.
As who?
He's
Ben Franklin?
Yeah, he's taking me to, like, one of the freaky orgies that, like, Ben Franklin would have been into.
But we're all in period costume. Yeah, for sure. Those probably happen. I bet you.
Oh, most definitely.
I bet you those happen.
There's a thing for everything.
You know,
so
there's an episode of The Office where they're trying to hire a stripper, but they accidentally hire a
Ben
Ben
Franklin.
Franklin. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, no. I've got specific instructions for Harvey
For Harvey
Keitel.
Keitel in this movie specifically.
That's my, like, he's, what is it, like, the bargaining chip for, like, Nick Cage. Like, Nick Cage is, like, telling him, like, here's what I want, and here I'll give you all the treasure, and everything like that. That's what I'm throwing in there. And it's like, and we're going and we're doing this.
Before they start taking this treasure room apart for the museum, so let's get down there for a quick sec.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry, we just have to go look at something really quick. We'll be back in, like,
20 minutes.
4 to 7 hours.
I was gonna say, I'm making the most of it.
So then, as far as what you would eat and drink during a soiree.
All right, I've got a good one.
All right.
It's not so much a drink, but I've done this before and it feels really relevant. So I feel like this movie is very active, so you need an activity. And I one time had we had a room crawl at my house, like mid-COVID sort of thing. So
Instead of a bar
crawl, you theme your rooms.
That's great.
So my room was pirate themed, so
That's
I did a
amazing.
treasure hunt for nips. So I went and basically you do the same thing and you write out little, like, riddles and little clues about, like, where the nips are hidden all around the house. And whatever everyone finds is what they drink, and you can make drinks based off of those.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then I think you just go super colonial. Was it George Washington chopped down a cherry tree or some bullshit? Make a cherry pie. I don't fucking
Or like
know.
a cherry tart.
Ooh.
Get
That's
some
good.
like puff pastry in there.
I like that. That's really hot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Oh.
nip treasure hunt.
I'm thinking Boston Tea Party now. So I'm thinking like
Ooh.
Long Island iced tea, but like
Oh.
Boston Harbor themed tea, Long Island iced tea.
Erin, that's so good.
I know.
And then your first one was good too, though. 'Cause
I
you
said Sam Adams.
which is just like a good.
It felt
Genius.
obvious, but then I thought Boston Tea Party. They do end up in Boston at the end of the movie.
You could do like a Earl Grey tea cake.
Like a hot toddy, maybe.
Yeah.
Hot toddy
oh.
feels right too. Yeah. Any food suggestions?
I thought apple pie, it's the only American history thing I can think of, but if you want to go like Revolutionary War, you need to make your own hardtack.
What is that?
Oh, you can
It's
make
like-
you can make mead.
Mead,
What
yeah.
if you had mead?
What is hardtack? Is it sausage?
No, it's terrible bread. It's the worst bread you can imagine.
Nice.
Oh. No, thank you. It's a no from me.
about you?
My drink is based off of the excess use of lemon juice in this movie. He uses lemon juice to like trick Diane Kruger into putting her fingerprints on things, and they use lemon juice to get the code off of the back of the Declaration. So I say you just make like a lemon drop, which is just like vodka, lemon juice, and fucking like simple syrup. Super easy, just a lemony cocktail. And then for my food, they do spend a good, section of this movie in Philadelphia, and a Philly cheesesteak also feels very
Philly
American.
cheesesteak.
Yeah.
So you do a Philly
Oh.
cheesesteak with like a lot of American cheese, peppers and
yeah.
onions. That would fit with this movie's vibe for me.
That's very thoughtful.
I've got an insane story about John Hancock involving salmon.
Okay. Do tell.
So John Adams and John Hancock were both fleeing the British together. And John Hancock was being a diva, and he wanted to bring his freshly caught salmon with him so he could have a snack while
Of
they were
course.
fleeing the British. And
Yeah.
John Adams is at the end of his rope. Like, they are about to be captured and murdered by the British. And this rich prick wants to bring his, like, fillet of salmon with them. And he's just at the end of his rope. So that's where I get salmon from.
love it.
I like that because obviously he's a diva. Look at the
Yeah.
size of his fucking signature.
Yeah.
Like, of course
Not shocking.
he's a pick-me bitch.
Have you seen his gravestone?
No, is it also huge?
It's extremely phallic.
Oh, I love that. So is Ben Franklin's though, kind of.
Yeah. It's erect.
It's
And then, what would you follow this movie up with?
I'm gonna go a hard. Okay. Personally, I'm a huge Da Vinci Code Angels and Demons fan.
Yes.
So obviously it's the Da Vinci Code for me. But also, if you're not trying to do like another like big like puzzle movie, watch and I've definitely like suggested this a handful of times before. My favorite Nicolas Cage performance is him in Moonstruck, which is extremely unhinged. So if you want to go from like one of his more like tied down roles to like his like balls to the walls one, he doesn't have a hand. It's a lot. It's beautiful. He is making like I'm gonna say making love to Cher because I feel like that's how he would say it. Yeah. But him and Cher are having like insane sex. It's amazing. I love it.
What about
So
you?
there's a group of movies that I consider to be part of this very limited genre, and National Treasure is one of them, as well as Night at the Museum.
Bitch, I have Night at the
yeah.
Museum written down! We are the same.
We're the same. We're related. Congratulations.
Whoa.
And The Mummy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I might throw in the newer Jumanji movies because something about the energy is just the same.
I unapologetically kind of like the new Jumanji movies.
I like them too.
with
yeah.
The Rock. There are ones that my parents will put on, and usually I would be annoyed by that kind of thing, but I actually kind of fuck with the Jumanji movies.
Although part of me, after watching this, wanted to launch right into the sequel.
So my obvious suggestion is I fucking love the sequel to this movie. I think number 2 is like not quite as good as number 1, but like still very, very good, and also was an important part of my National Treasure love growing up. So 1 and 2, hand in hand. Number 2 is exactly the same energy as it just being
Love
like,
it.
so fucking back to back. We're changing locations. We're solving puzzles. Helen Mirren is there that time. Like,
We're
it's-
in Europe!
yeah, it's even better.
Love it.
So number 2 is really good. I also think I also wrote down Night at the Museum just based on vibes. And then you could also do a treasure-based marathon, starting with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, obviously then moving into National Treasure, then Muppets Treasure Island,
Oh!
and then we go into the future Treasure Planet.
Christ, Dara, you gave this some thought.
Because those are all just treasure movies that I liked
I like
growing up,
that.
so...
Temple of Doom, really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you gotta start with the OG, right? And then you kind of work from there, and
Yeah.
you build off of it, and then you end up in space, you know?
Let's sub that out with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, I was gonna say Temple of Doom
Oh!
is the most problematic Indiana Jones.
And that's saying a lot.
Wow, I feel like that was just the one I watched the most as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
interesting.
Maybe that's bad. Yeah, you're right. You're so right though. Yeah, forget I said that. But what are we gonna give this out of 10? Objectively,
10.
I'm gonna like as a work of art, it's like a 6 or a 7. But to me, this movie is like a 9.5, maybe a 10.
Yeah. In my heart, 10. Realistically, like a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to stiff 5 with Erin on this one.
But like, to me and for me,
This movie was made for me specifically.
Yeah.
For my gratification, my wish fulfillment.
and the fact that I can close my eyes and watch it is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I like that I trained myself to do that at age 8, and it comes in handy on long car rides. So, we're signing off this episode. We're continuing. It's our podcast, August, this upcoming month, weeks in August. And we're going to do a pretty fun theme in September, so stick around for that. I'm really excited for our September picks. But as always, send us your suggestions, movies, theme ideas, chocolate or vanillas, questions you want us to answer. Anything. Slide into our DMs. All of our links are in the description below. Also, in coming weeks, we're going to try to be better about filming and putting out our stuff on YouTube, because we started that and then we stopped it for a second because we were not technologically advanced. But now we are suddenly more equipped, so look out in coming weeks for maybe some visual assets. And in the meantime, just go subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll get notified when that happens.
As always, thank you, Erin, for being here. You were a joy.
Thank you for having me. This movie is everything to me. Like I said, it's on my Tinder bio.
Which is reason enough to give you this honorable position for this insane film. So thank you for being on the pod, and thank all of you for listening, and goodbye and good night.